Hey guys, it's Marissa. So in today's video we're going to be doing the one dip makeup challenge. Now I think that this started with James Charles and Nikki Tutorial that really just blew up this trend, but I don't know who started it originally. Maybe it was one of them, but I just know that a lot of other YouTubers have been hopping onto this trend, and I really wanted to as well because I think it looked like a lot of fun. And I think that this turned out really super cool and really nice, surprisingly. Like, I would have never guessed that this was all with one dip, so I really tried hard, and it was a little bit difficult for some spots, but I really think that this did turn out really super nice. And I like the idea and concept of this challenge just because I think it does help us save our makeup and not like overuse the products and the pigments, because sometimes I might overdo it on some things like with bronzer or highlights. So I'm really happy with the final result of this, and I might try doing this in the future with certain products, like with how I said the bronzer and stuff, because I really didn't even need that much. And it turned out really nice and natural. So if you're interested to see how I did this challenge and how you want to do this look, then just keep on watching. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to be priming my eyes using just like a concealer, and I'm going to be using the LA Girl Pro Concealer. I'm just going to squeeze this once, and whatever comes from me squeezing it, that's as much as I'm going to use on both eyes. So I'm just going to apply that, and honestly, I'm just going to save whatever is on this brush for extra coverage for concealer just in case I don't get enough. And I'm just going to be blending this in with my finger. And I really like using the LA Girl Pro Concealer because it honestly has the best coverage, and it's really good to use on eyeshadows as well, because I just think it really makes any of the eyeshadows or pigments just really pop out and stand out even more. Now honestly, I think I applied too much concealer, but that's honestly, I'd rather have too much than not enough. So now, I know it's a one dip challenge, so you can only dip things once, so I guess I'd only just dip one of each color for the eyeshadows, because I want to do like a greenish yellowish eyeshadow look, so just so it can like match my shirt and stuff, because I do plan on going out after this. So I'm just gonna leave all this extra concealer at the bottom for now, and I'll just like wipe it off later once. I'm just gonna be going in with the James Charles palette. I'm gonna be taking this light green shade, and I really packed it on, so I'm just gonna swipe it like this, and then just swipe it like that, and then blend it out. And that's what I'm just gonna do, because this was just one dip, like just one time. So I'm just gonna, and there's still like a little bit of brown eyeshadow previously because I forgot to clean out this brush, so that's my fault. But I really like using this brush because it does help buff out really easily, because it is a little bit brown at the corners. I'm gonna be dipping into the yellow, and I'm just gonna go like that and just kind of like swipe it over where I want to blend eventually, and then I'm just gonna blend the two together. And just because it's starting to get a little bit high up for me, I'm just gonna take my finger as well just to take away some of that pigment where the yellow is, because I don't want the eyeshadow to go up to like my brow bone or anything. I want it to look pretty wearable. No, this isn't like my best blending, because I like to just take a little bit of the pigment at a time and then just place it on there in each section, just because I think it's easier to blend out that way, and you're not like overwhelming like the brush with all this pigment. Then it gets all powdery and just, you know, messy and all that. So this isn't my best blending, but it could be worse. There could be no pigment on here at all, you know what I mean? I am gonna darken it just a little bit with the darker green color, which is in the palette, and I think I'm just gonna stick to mainly the corners of my eyes, because I don't think I'd be able to do the crease with just one dip, and I don't trust myself, so I'm not gonna do that. This side is starting to not be as pigmented, which is a problem, but I'm gonna really try to get the last of that pigment from this brush onto the corner of my eye. I'm going to be taking the Candy Peaches palette by Jacob and Eli, and in the shade Lollipop, I'm gonna really get as much on my finger as possible. And I'm using the shade Lollipop for my eyelid. And normally I would like to like define the crease a little bit more and maybe cut it halfway, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that this time, just because I wouldn't have enough pigment, obviously. but I'm just going to clean it up a little bit with whatever's left on this brush and just kind of clean it up a little bit better, like how I said. Maybe add just a little bit of transition with whatever's left over on the brush. I honestly don't think this is too bad. I'm going to be taking the eyeliner next. This might be a little bit hard too, honestly. It seems so easy watching everyone else do this, but now that I'm doing it, I'm like, oh crap, wait, I actually can't just grab another dip of this if I wanted. And honestly, I think I might have added too much product, but I'm gonna try to make this work. And then whatever leftover product I have, then I'll connect it.
I was using the e.l.f. Expert Liquid Liner in this clip in the shade Jet Black.
I honestly had just enough because it's starting to run dry, but I think that worked pretty well, and I'm actually pretty satisfied, and I'm surprised also because I usually have to double dip, but I really like made sure that there was enough in here, so I really liked how this worked. And this is only like a $2 eyeliner, and I use it all the time. I've been using this for about like 5 years. Like, I've always repurchased this product. It's one of my favorites. Now I'm gonna be using this Tarte Stay Spray because it can also work as like a primer, but you can only spritz it once because it's not like a mist. So I'm just gonna, that did not work. And I guess I'm just gonna take whatever is on here and just blend it. Now for concealer, I'm going to be using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, and they have like that little, I don't know what it's called, but the little applicator, I think it's called like a doe foot or something, but the little applicator usually holds a pretty good amount, and I don't really like to use foundation or anything like that, just because I do have really bad cystic acne that can get triggered by like just the foundation and stuff, so I only wear foundation on special occasions. And I did record a few Halloween videos before this just with like some face paint, and I used some face paint over like my lips and stuff as part of like the lipstick, and it made me break out like right here. So if you're noticing that, that's what it is. And I didn't even have it the same day, like literally after I took off the makeup, immediately after, that's when I started to notice it develop. So it doesn't hurt or anything, it looks bad, but it is starting to go away. So if you're wondering what that is, that's why, and that's why I always have to be cautious with how much makeup I put on my actual skin because of that reason. It's really annoying, but that's why I only usually just do concealer.
And the shade that I'm using is in the shade Fair Neutral, and I'm just applying this using a Real Techniques Beauty Complexion Sponge.
This isn't looking too bad. My skin does look a little bit dry, but it could be worse, and I could just try to fix that with setting spray afterwards, because I used that other spray as like a primer, which obviously didn't really work. But I'm gonna do the technique that I normally do, and that is obviously you can only dip into this once for bronzer, and I'm going to be taking an Ulta round blush brush, and I'm just gonna really make sure I have more than enough pigment and powder, and I'm just gonna heavily apply this and then just spray it down and just blend it out. I don't know why I thought I applied more bronzer than what it actually is doing, but I'm not complaining. So I might not need to apply a lot of setting spray because I have like the mist, so really one squirt is like a whole ton, and I usually don't need that much. Now for blush, I'm gonna use an eyeshadow just because I feel like it would have more pigment, so I'm gonna go like this between Bubblegum and Jelly, and you can definitely see a whole ton on here. This is probably when I'm gonna need the setting spray to kind of move it around a little bit. I'm just gonna go like that, I guess. This kind of looks like, I don't even know how to explain it, but this looks really weird. I'm going to be filling in my brows, and again, I'm going to be taking an eyeshadow, not a pomade or anything, just because I just feel like I'd get more pigment, and I normally do this anyway. So I'm going to be dipping into the shades Chocolate and Licorice, and just with the e.l.f. angled brush, I'm just going to really define mainly the angle and like the ends of my brows, because I have pretty nice brows without them being filled in, so I usually don't have to do too much anyways. kind of did overdo it on this side, so I'm just going to take whatever is left on my Beauty Blender sponge and just kind of wipe some of that excess powder. Now I'm going to be taking the Morphe setting spray, and like how I said, it's just like this long mist, so I'm just going to generously apply it without overdoing it. And I really love that setting spray. It's honestly my favorite. Like, it just works really good in my opinion. And I haven't set my face yet because I've noticed if I set my face before putting on any kind of setting spray, it might just be the powder that I'm using, but I noticed it kind of just takes away any concealer or blush that I might have placed down. It kind of breaks it up and makes my skin look a little bit patchy. And it normally doesn't do that, but I think it's just because of the change of weather with my skin, because my skin gets really dry. I have oily to combination skin, but during the winter I get eczema. Not super badly, but it does affect my face as well. So I've noticed that this technique works a lot better, and I just think that my skin looks a lot nicer too doing it this way. So I am going to be setting it now using the Airspun Loose Face Powder, and I'm going to be using this and just kind of baking it.
And the shade that I'm using is in the shade Naturally Neutral.
While that's setting, I'm going to be using mascara. I'm not going to do lashes or anything, but I've noticed whenever I first open a mascara that there's always like way too much product in it. Like just by a couple swipes, it's usually pretty like chunky, you know? So I have this brand new, I've used it a few times, but it's still pretty new, where there's like a ton of product on it with just one swipe kind of thing. It's the LORAC Pro Lash Pomade, and this is in the shade Black. So I'm going to use two mascaras because I don't think that's cheating. I usually use one to apply it and then one spoolie to like kind of separate it a little bit more, because the spoolies are a lot different. The bristles are very small compared to, you can already see like a ton of product at the tip of this LORAC one right here that's a little bit angled. So I'm going to be using that first. Now for my lower lashes, or for my under eyes, I kind of forgot to put a little bit of eyeshadow underneath there, so I'm just going to take with a different brush, an e.l.f. Precision brush.
I'm going to be adding a light green shade from the James Charles palette, which was the shade Social Blade, and just adding that underneath there. And then I'm just continuing with that different mascara this time, which is the Ulta Beauty Maximum Lashes Mascara in the shade Black.
So I'm just going to wipe it away with nothing on my brush and just kind of blend it out if it's a little bit too streaky. And I think that looks pretty good. I just really need to do highlighter and lipstick next, and then I think we'd be done with the whole look. So I'm going to be using the Candy Peaches palette again, and this is going to be in the shade Saltwater. So it's going to be this second one right here. I'm going to really just take it with my finger, just because this is a shimmery shade. I don't think I'm going to get my inner corner highlight in, because highlight, I usually like overdo it. Now I don't want to overblend this too much with just a plain beauty blender, because I obviously can't reapply it. I'm actually not that mad at it. It's not bad. So now the last part is really just the lips. So I'm going to be taking a matte liquid lipstick, which is by Ulta Beauty in the shade Nude Pink. This is just with one swipe. And then as a lip topper, I'm going to be using the e.l.f. lip lacquer in the shade Bubbles. I really love it. I love all of their lip lacquers. This is one of my favorites though. Like, you can just see so much. It's so pretty. You definitely would want to reapply again, but obviously I can't because of the spoolie that it's on, or the, you know, the little applicator. It doesn't really hold too much product, but I think it'll do. And I think the lips turned out really super pretty. I think the whole look turned out really nice just for one dip makeup. And this is basically the completed look. Like, I really am super happy with how this turned out. This was a little bit more harder than what I expected, so if you're gonna recreate this yourself, really don't underestimate how much pickup your brushes are doing. Like, really just over exaggerate how much you're dipping or how much you're like rubbing in the product onto the brush, because it actually came in handy for me. Like, I could probably put on a lot more bronzer if I wanted to, but it still turned out really super nice, and I actually really like how this looked. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you're interested to see more videos from me in the future, I upload sometimes on Wednesdays and mainly Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can also hit the notification bell as well so you can get notified for every single time I upload. And if you want to see specific videos from me in the future, you can always comment down below. I really like responding to you guys' feedback and all your positive comments. I really do appreciate it. And I'll just see you guys next time. Bye!